Me, Mr. P.C. Tripathi, President and CEO of the Defence and the Strategic Industry Association of India. Mr. Tripathi, good morning and thank you for joining us. First, I want to understand which way the contours of defense spending are moving, because a lot was indicated, a lot was promised, but somehow I'm getting a sense that the private sector has not really taken a giant leap in the Indian defense business.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's true. Probably because if you look at the current budget allocation and the capital budget part of it, then you find that the money is not where our policy is. So if you look at the focus of our defense modernization in the coming years is going to be the Make in India defense program. And there are three components to it. Basically, there are 3 points from where we can analyze it. Its efficacy and how far we have traveled in that direction. The first is the policy instruments, the defense procurement policy. The second is, of course, the budget allocation. And third is what has been industry response to all these initiatives. Now, if you come to the defense procurement policy, which is at the center of this whole modernization program, it's still a work in progress. The last version of it in 2016 that came has brought a very, very important step. And associations like Defense Industry Association like mine, which I lead, are primarily focused on bringing the small and medium enterprises into the supply chain of the high-tech economy that the defense industrial complex foresees. Now, of course, on the main platform segments in the defense procurement policy, which will be going on to the big strategic partners, big companies, which will be assembling the main platforms like aircrafts, the submarines, the artillery systems. This is also not completed yet because the strategic partner policy hasn't been, the participants haven't been finalized. So if you look at it, the investment have been very lukewarm, the response of industry have been very, very lukewarm, and if you put into the factor that defense procurement is a very regulated business, there is very little awareness in the industry, and these are some of the areas we have to tackle to move forth.
Mr. Tripathi, the defense minister recently said that she would encourage the private sector as well to participate and spend when it comes to the defense segment. Do you sense that this could be a huge opportunity, A, for the private sector, and B, what categories do you see maximum participation coming in? Because again, defense is a very large umbrella. Within that, a lot of companies, a lot of different types of modules exist.
Right. In fact, see, the fundamental challenge in creating a military industrial complex in India, you can divide into several parts. The fundamental challenge is how to create a supply chain network, without which it will be impossible to fulfill the dream of indigenizing, going from 70% to 30% import content. India is not a technology creating country as yet. We are just so much dependent on weapon systems, the finer platforms, etc., precisely because we do not have an SMEs based high-tech based at SMEs and the small and medium and micro enterprises. So this is a challenge the government. Now, if you look at it in the last 2016 DPP, Defense Procurement Policy, they have come up with a very innovative scheme, the India designed, indigenously designed, manufactured, and the category, which actually also makes a lot of reservation for small and medium enterprises, where any contract below 3 crore, but the big players can't participate unless a smaller one says, all right, I cannot do it. So this is going to pull in a lot of high-tech entrepreneurs at the ground level. Now, the question is, how do they work? I mean, it's like a bootstrapping mechanism. You require some kind of bootstrapping through the policy inputs or policy initiative otherwise. Now, government, I think the policy, this thing in other areas, a lot of work needs to be done, like for the strategic partnership, that needs to be finalized fast, and we need to put our the import content requirements, the domestic, review them from time to time. And I think government has promised this year that it's going to come up with the revised version. So hopefully the policy instrumentation, when it comes in right place, we will be able to move forward. But most that to me, in my opinion, the key to this whole building a successful military industrial complex is creating a very vibrant.
Right. But Mr. Tripathi, I would like to just completely draw your attention to the fact that 2 government IPOs are opening, or 2 government defense companies will be going public this week. First, Bharat Dynamics, where the IPO has opened, and then you got Hindustan Aeronauticals, which is almost a virtual monopoly when it comes to making defense choppers and defense aeroplanes. What do you think is the scope for the Indian missile sector at a time when the sector was dominated by the government sector, and now private sector would be moving in? And also, what do you think would be the future for a company like Hindustan Aeronauticals, which up until now has enjoyed a government advantage because of strategic presence, but now that strategic presence could be challenged by private players?
I think it's been now being recognized that our defense PSUs, whether it's Hindustan Aeronautics and other 8 PSUs, or also the ordnance factories cluster, are basically becoming an Achilles heel in our effort to modernize our defense manufacturing. And of course, the 2 IPOs going on, the Bharat Dynamics, I think, is one of them, and Hindustan Aeronautics. It's basically a very clever way of testing waters. As to bring in the private companies eventually. In fact, there is, because if you do not have the private sector participation, and you do not have, you won't have the technological vibrancy that is very essential to upgrade and stay in this very complex supply chain, because it is not just India. It's basically the global chain that we are trying to connect ourselves to. And if you see, if the global policy, India has become a member of the Wassenaar arrangement now, which gives us a tremendous access to dual-use technologies, and that itself will be a great advantage for our private sector to tap and become a high-tech economy. You look at the other countries like China, Korea, how did they get into, and how did they become so sophisticated manufacturing high-tech equipment and the military over a very short period of time? Because they got their, of course, they didn't face the kind of problems we faced due to the international embargoes over last decades. But now that's over, and I think it's a great opportunity that we can tap.
So between missile and choppers and aeroplanes, which business do you think is going to be disrupted by private sector, and which business do you think is going to be protected because of strategic importance?
See, in fact, if you look at it, the aircraft, of course, the aircraft, the military aircraft, they are the first one which the government is seriously thinking about, bringing in. But of course, there are institutional resistances that we all know about. And apart from aircraft, I think we should focus on the land systems, the artilleries, the big guns manufacturing platform. And fortunately, in the naval system, we have a great deal of infrastructure in the private sector already in terms of shipbuilding, etc., which can be booted up. So I think the market forces are quite well placed to tap the naval systems and the ship and the submarine system, But the others, like the command control radars and the communication systems, we need to bring in, like we have defense electronics and so many PSUs. There, in fact, we are so ready and so well placed with our private sector in terms of the software industry, the electronics manufacturing now, that we can not only build a very vibrant and high-tech economy for ourselves, but also capture the global market. Now even the exports have been made free, the defense exports have been liberalized by the government policy. So there is a great market for exports for in electronics, control, instrumentation and areas. And of course, we should focus on the building of the artillery systems, where we really require a tremendous amount of innovation and investment in special materials, etc., which are at the base of these systems. These are the three areas which I can foresee.
Okay.
Mr. Tripathi, thanks so much for giving us all the insight.